So this is really solid and ready to go. This is nicely sanded, just needs a little manual sand just to get that sorted. Other end, let's get the other end, just, you know, nicely sanded. So I'm going to unscrew this now, and then I'm going to sand the whole thing, get the first coat of varnish on. Just put a nice little coat of thinned varnish on, so that's coat number 1. And I dropped a little bit of varnish down there, so when we screw that in, it'll really hold fast. Using the compass varnish, it's quick drying. It's quite temperature resistant, so when it gets a little bit colder, it's still about 15 degrees, so it'll be fine. But it does dry quite quickly. The original tends to really cold tends to really extend the dry time. So that's the first coat. Here's to about 4 or 5 more. We've got, I've just received my little bit of aluminium pole or tubing, and as you can probably see, it's pretty damn bang on the tubing that these little Spinnaker ends came on. So the problem I've had with these is that they came like this with this tubing attached, and they've got these little inner things which I think holds the mechanism for these spring clips, so there's not enough tube basically to go on the end of this rod, this wooden rod I'm going to use. And if I were to chop the wood out, it's quite complicated to get that chopped out. I'd end up having to chop half the wood out, so it really damaged the integrity of the whole pole. So what I've got here is a new pole. This fits in beautifully, absolutely beautifully. And the other end of this, we'll chop this off, and the other end should go over there. It's a tickle loose. It's like a half a millimetre, but this was the same anyway. So what we'll have to do is pour a tiny little bit of epoxy down there to fill that gap. And then we could even put a couple of screws in here as well. We probably will need to put some screws in. You'll see here, this has got a screw hole with this screw went in, and that screwed into here to secure this. So what we've got to do is put a few holes in the aluminium, cut it in half, insert this, screw it in, and then glue the 2 ends on, and we are done. I think what we'll then do is, it's interesting, I wonder if we should varnish this pole before we stick it in here. We could varnish this pole, and that might just take up enough slack to make it a tight fit. So we could do that. Yeah, I think we will do that. So we've got to varnish this pole first, and then we have got to, yeah, and then we'll set to work on all of this.